Attention. Welcome to the Different Spectrums podcast. We dive into the wild world of mental health discussions. Get ready for profound talks, a sprinkle of humor and sarcasm, and a touch of colorful language. Just a quick heads up, our show reflects our individual opinions, which may not align with the standpoint of the podcast, our featured guests, or any related corporate entities. Our mission? To illuminate through laughter and satire because everyone needs a good chuckle. Chill out and don't stress over the small stuff. Legal troubles? No, thank you. Cancel culture? Please spare us. We'd rather keep this space lawsuit free. So buckle up, have a good time, and join us as we navigate the vibrant realm of mental health on the Different Spectrums podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. By using our link, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. So, Naz, as a therapist on BetterHelp, what has your experience been like?
I've been doing it since January 2021, and it's been really fun and exciting. I've been able to reach clients all over the United States and the world. I've had good relationships. I've had folks that I've had for a couple months and a good handful where I've had for almost 2 years now. So it's magnificent. I've enjoyed my time and my clients. I love them.
Awesome. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel the most comfortable. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/DSP or choose Different Spectrums podcast during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. Hey everybody, we back again.
Hey, we're back. It's 9 o'clock at night, and we're back, and we're all a little spicy.
We?
Yeah.
We.
Anyways, I'm Spencer, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Hey, Dr. Nas.
Hey, no. Remember, don't take us too seriously.
Or do. It's completely up to you.
There we go. Also, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. All right. So before we get into our topics for today, we have a special guest for the show. He is a clinical psychologist and professional speaker who specializes in working with gifted and other neurodivergent people. He is also the co-founder and lead psychologist for the Neurodiversity Collective. Welcome to the show, Dr. Matthew Zakreski. Welcome.
Oh, yes. Thank you for having me. I am looking forward to this being an informative and ridiculous experience. And if it's anything like the backstage, we are either going to get everything done or absolutely nothing done. And frankly, I'm here for both of it. So,
you have very high hopes for us, and you're about to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So.
That's pretty much my job Monday through Friday. It's like, hey, how'd you do? And repeat.
Jesus.
Painting a great light for psychologists.
Yeah. I thought he was talking about his clients where they just come in with depressing shit all the time. It's both.
There's that too.
There's that too. Oh,
yeah, there
great.
You go.
You still can't read good? Oh, okay.
What the fuck?
I couldn't think of nothing. I'm sorry. Continue the show.
All right. So today we are doing, of course, New Girl. All right. We're going to be taking a few different scenes from different episodes. But some of the main topics that we're doing is going to be OCD and the difference between OCD and OCPD. We're going to be talking about perfectionism, masculinity. We're also going to be talking about prosody. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to change words to have different meanings? And then also, can't take a compliment. We have a very, very fast scene about not taking a compliment, which we are probably all accustomed to that. So, with that, Naz, anything before we get into the show?
Just thinking about all the, the scenes, and there's a lot of people that have comfort shows. And this is going to be a major comfort show for a lot of autistic folks, a lot of neurodivergent ADHD folks, a lot of anxious folks.
Yes.
It's getting older now, getting a little bit older now, but it's still one of those comfort shows that a lot of people know that are, I'd probably say 35, 37 and under. I would say 35 and under. Folks might be older than that, but it's usually even the younger kids in college still know the show. So it's exciting to always talk about this. We talked about it a long time ago, horrible audio, right? And so we were more than happy to do it again because that was like 3 years ago. I've been on record saying that everyone on the cast is one version of autistic. But I've been on record. I think that they all are neurodivergent, and I think that all of them are autistic as shit. Same thing when it goes for Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I believe that many of them have autistic-like traits and then probably are as well. It looks like Matt's having trouble with his audio. We're going to check in on that in a second. So really excited to get to this. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We're going to have a lot of fun today. It's going to be a funny pod, an easy funny pod. It's not all the saddest shit ones that we just recently did. Like we're not going to cry.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I'm still traumatized from the Logan one that we did. So
I was traumatized for the Persian version.
Yeah, that was tough. Sorry for everyone that has to watch that one. Magnificent podcast, magnificent guest. Very, 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 very hard stuff to deal with there. So I'm excited to finally have some fun. So don't judge us too hard. If there's some out of pocket shit on here, like the one person on when we talked about Pee Wee Herman. It's fucking Pee Wee Herman. We're gonna have fun with Pee Wee Herman.
What are we supposed to do? It was a serious conversation with a grown man. What's like a child? Really?
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's have some fun. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop.
You said it once. Whoop. Give us two whoops.
Gotta do two pumps. Whoop whoop.
Oh,
whoops.
Oh,
there it is.
There you go. Yep. There you go. Okay. You were glitching out. That's probably why. Yeah. Now he's going like whoop 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 whoop.
He's just barking.
I'm just gonna keep whooping until you tell me to stop.
Dance, white man, dance.
Oh my God. Okay, cool.
What is happening? I can't take this right now. What do we live in, a pawn shop?
Hey, Schmidt.
Hey, Jess, where'd all this come from?
I found the Afghan underneath a dumpster outside an animal shelter, and I found the lamp underneath the Afghan.
I'm gonna assume that these are your spices jammed in here with my spices?
Yep.
I would really appreciate it if your non-Tahitian vanilla was not touching my Tahitian vanilla.
Oh, Schmidt, they're more than touching.
What's it like living in the most populous island, French Polynesia? I could tell you, I could show you. Not in front of the cloves.
Where's my Burr coffee grinder?
Oh, I think it's in the hutch.
You put it in the hutch? This thing was on the street.
It's a coffee grinder, Schmidt. I think it'll be
A
okay.
top-of-the-line conical Burr coffee grinder. You know what that means? It means it doesn't smash up the beans like some pedestrian blade grinder. It actually grinds them for a deeper, richer, more satisfying flavor profile.
Oh, well, I've used it repeatedly to make homemade crayons. Does that show up in your flavor profile, Schmidt?
Yeah, that's fine.
If you're looking for your oven mitts, they're in the top drawer of the hutch.
Okay, fair enough. Hutch is gone.
No.
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 Hutch.
No. Stop.
Buy my
Don't move the
hutch! This thing makes me emotionally nauseous!
This is my hutch. Don't move it.
All right, you're right. I'm so sorry. You're right. It's a beautiful piece. It looks great there. My apologies.
Thank you. Schmidt, you have a real problem. You've got to learn to calm down.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my God.
That was amazing.
Wow. That was off the hammer. The hammer and the bell. Tough crowd.
Here's what I was thinking, okay? If we want to win this concert, we play something cool. like Eye of the Tiger.
What's Eye of the Tiger?
Eye of the Tiger is the greatest song ever written. It's so cool it ended the Cold War.
That's not even a little bit true.
I never thought bells could be cool.
What do you mean? I make bells cool.
Do that thing where you hold 3 bells in one hand and...
3 in hand.
I think she's talking about the Winston.
It's actually called the 3 in hand. I can do it.
Yeah, but can you do this?
That was really pretty. But Miss Day has a few tricks up her sleeves as well.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah,
let's see Miss Day.
See what you got, Miss Day. Come on.
I am a robot trained to play the bells. Don't judge me, cause I can't think at all. I just like to play the bells.
I want to play Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, come on, Tiger.
Please.
That sounds so fun, but we can't because we don't have time. Oh, darn.
But here's what I was thinking. If you skip school and practice, then boom, you got it.
Mr. Bishop.
Focus. Are you focused? Okay, what's the song about? Hector.
Hanging tough. Staying hungry.
A man and his will to survive.
Are you brown-nosing me?
Yes, I am. You're so cool.
Where are your eyes?
On the
On the
tiger.
tiger.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No! Are you kidding me? It is not that hard, people. It is an instrument that a cat wears around its neck.
Okay, you know what? I think they did a pretty great job considering the fact that they've only played it like 8 times.
Well, you're wrong, okay? You thought wrong, Jess. You know why? Because I'm out there right now by myself in the cold. I got no support.
Maybe we're just not good enough.
No, you are good enough. This is not your problem. This is Mr. Bishop's problem.
Pa, rest. Pa, pa, pa. Rest. Pa, pa, pa. Rest. Pa, pa, pa. Rest. Pa. Can you hear it? It's a very famous song.
Mr. Bishop.
I'll tell you what. Here. Stuff here. You're gonna play these, okay? Play these until you figure it out, right? Don't play these. And what are you laughing at, WNBA? This is what you look like. You look like you're fighting off a shark. Okay, this is what I want.
Mr. Bishop.
Petting a dolphin. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, and you didn't make me want to throw up.
Really?
Now, come on, people.
Out.
What?
Get out. You're out of the group. You're being mean.
Fine. I don't need this.
I warned y'all about these bells. Told you, told you, told you.
I'm gonna make you guys a picture of my famous virgin sangria.
Isn't that just juice?
This has to stop! It's not my war!
Hey. Schmidt, I got you something, man. They didn't have a Jewish star at the store, so I got you a regular cookie. I made the star myself by breaking off the pieces. It's meant to celebrate your Jewish heritage.
What is this?
It's a Jewish star, I just said that.
Hey, Schmidt, just...
This is so terrible.
You gave me a cookie, I gave you a cookie. You gave me a cookie, gave you a cookie. Gave me a cookie, got you a cookie. You gave me a cookie, I got you a cookie, man. Gave me a cookie, got you a cookie. We're even. We're even, Schmidt. I mean, what do you want from me? What do you want, Schmidt? I've been racking my brain all day. I walked around the grocery store, man, for 45 minutes. I didn't know what to get you. Then I was thinking I was gonna get you ramen, like we used to eat, but you probably eat like fancy ramen now with like figs in it. I don't know, man. You love me too much, Schmidt. And you picked the wrong guy. And when are you gonna get that giant head of yours? I'm just gonna let you down, man.
Are you crying?
I'm not crying, man.
Yeah. You are crying. Oh my God.
I'm not crying, guys. Just drop it. Hey. I just felt like I did something
Yes,
nice.
you are, and that's okay.
Don't say that, man, because that, you know what I mean?
Just
like,
let it rain, man.
I gotta eat the cookies, man. It's the best I can do, man.
What about the turtle?
You're the only turtle I want. You're the turtle, man.
I knew I was the turtle.
Yeah, man, you're the turtle.
You was the turtle.
You guys are the best, man. I love you guys. Sorry, man.
I'm gonna
Yeah, we gotta
I'm eating my
check
sandwich
some
right here.
things
I'm eating my
out,
sandwich.
yeah.
This is a good sandwich.
All right. See you guys.
Just needed to happen.
Welcome to Hot Foods. Can I help you?
This morning, there were 9 menus just at my apartment.
I also hate those menus. They're so bad for the environment.
It's wasteful. It's an eco-disaster.
I'll talk to my boss, see if we can change that.
Yeah, great. You do that. I'm gonna follow up with you on that.
I compost, recycle, but I don't feel like it's enough. Thank you. Jeez, thank you so much for stepping up and saying something.
That's who I am. It's just, I'm
My name's Brian.
Jessica. It's really refreshing to meet someone who actually cares.
Well, it helps that you're gorgeous.
Bleh. Brr. No, that's crazy. That ain't real. That's dumb. That's straight dumb. You're dumb. You're nice. You excited for the holidays? I am. Anyway.
Hey everyone, I'm here to talk about our new collaborator, Toink Toys. They have a wide selection of, you guessed it, toys and other great collectibles. They have products from Marvel, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and everything pop culture. You could say they put the toy in Toink. So go check them out at toink.com and use our code Different Spectrums Podcast to get 10% off your entire order today. Anyways, we back again.
Hey, we're back and we're live. Just as live as Joe Biden during that goddamn debate.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey.
What are you talking about?
Bro, Joe Biden was dead. I ain't gonna lie, he was dead.
Oh,
If you want to talk about someone having an ADHD brain fart,
leave the man alone. He's out of the race.
I
Jesus.
know. I'm just saying,
What else do you want?
Shout out to his neurologist for keeping that man
Leave
alive
that
the last
old
4
man
years.
alone, bro.
Hey, my dad keeps saying the cocaine that they had him on was some good shit, boy.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that man's so alive he's dead. Okay,
It
well,
was
I'm
that
done.
shit that Logan had when he was
I
powering
know
up at the
that
end.
juice, the green. Give me the green juice.
You see every tendon in every part of his body.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my god, just watching Joe sometimes just makes me scared. Like I'm like, please don't fall. Please don't fall.
Finally, some sympathy, you jackass.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and they like during the debate, my favorite tweet was somebody gave him NyQuil instead of DayQuil. It was like, damn, because that's what it looked like. That sort of like cloudy head, like, yeah, words. It's like, oh, this is very bad.
Someone just would have went.
I can't wait till you motherfuckers are old as shit.
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
wait.
Yeah, I know.
You're already drooling all over the place. Shut the fuck up,
I know.
motherfucker.
I woke
You
up
have
in a
no
puddle of
place to
drool.
talk,
I put out
asshole.
drool and acid reflux after my nap.
Excuse me.
Just as long as we're sure it was drool.
Yeah.
It could be cumsies. All right. Anyways,
God. Continue the show.
Are those happy tissues or sad tissues?
he doesn't like to talk about it.
Is that from New Girl? That's from New Girl.
No, I was forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
There you
The
go.
other one I considered because there's a whole lot of neurodivergence going on in that particular movie.
Yeah.
If I don't, if I do a good job, I'll come back and do that one.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So let's just get into it now. So Dr. Matt,
Yes.
Dr. Zakreski, as some of the Polish people would like to say. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you get into the mental health field?
Well, I mean, it's funny. Part of the reason I don't go by Dr. Zakreski is, the old joke, like Dr. Zakreski was my father. Dr. Zakreski is my father, but also so was my mom. So both of my parents were clinical psychologists.
Oh.
So like I grew up with this. Like I always joke, like I never got grounded as a kid. I got analyzed. So I came home and like, what made you break curfew? I'm like, God damn it, just ground me. Like, no, get behind the feelings. Like I was fluent in CBT as a kid. Um, but it's just like you see how many people are out there who don't know shit about this and they're struggling and it'd be like throwing somebody in a pool and never teaching them what swimming is and wondering why they can't keep their head above water, right? It's just like, so I said, you know what, like if I ever get to do this work, I want to work with kids like me, because as great as being gifted it has been for me in many ways, it has also kicked the ever loving shit out of me. So, like I'm not one of those kids who like sailed through life and went to Harvard and now is a doctor and all that shit. It's like struggle, fail, fall down, bullied, performance cliff, all that crap. But like I came out the other side and now I get to say authentically to kids in session, like, yo, you can do this and it's gonna suck and you're gonna get some scars from it, but you'll be all right in the end because you're gonna find your people and you're gonna find a way to make the shit work for you. And like I think no matter what you do for a living, if you show up as authentic with neurodivergent people, you're always going to be in. They may not like it, but being real, I mean, that's everything, right? So, and
Yeah.
we are allergic to bullshit, and that's a good thing.
I like it. I like it. So you've also used this term gifted a few times with us. Like, what made you want to use that term instead of just saying like neurodivergent, things like that? What made you want to just say gifted instead?
Well, because I desperately want your praise, of course.
Well,
If you give me an A plus,
you don't have it.
Yeah, gold stars. Give me the gold stars. Part of what the lane I think I try to really choose here is I'm always banging the drum for giftedness as a type of neurodivergence, right? I mean,
Yep.
I got to be in the New York Times about this. I got to be on NPR about this. Like, two of the three white guy trifectas when it comes to media. All I need is CNN, right? I mean, then it's the big three, guys. I'm fucking
You got it.
right?
You'll be there. You're on the pinnacle of whiteness.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's Oprah's book club.
Hey, well, I don't know if we can make it on the liberal side, so we're going Fox News and Tucker Carlson on this motherfucker.
We're wearing bow ties. You know what I'm saying?
OAN. Yeah, I'm gonna switch sides. I'm good at switching sides now.
I bet you are.
Continue.
You would headline their convention immediately. We have one, and they're like,
He used to say that for other reasons.
Right. But I mean, it's like we can look at the brain scans and it literally is a different brain.
Yep.
And, I mean, there are way too many people out there who use neurodivergent as a synonym for autism.
Yep.
Which I'm trying to fight back on. But like ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, OCD, those things all matter. And giftedness often gets the short shift there, right? Because it's like, well, you're smart. How hard could your life be? But it's like it's not just smart, it's your brain works differently. And there's a lot of people out there who may not be doing well in school, but have this neurotype, right? So if they can understand that it's not just me, it's how my brain works, then we're giving them a fighting chance to be successful.
Okay.
Yeah. So you even have your own practice, and it's called Neurodiversity Collective. How'd you get in the realm of neurodiversity? Did it start with yourself? Did you have other people in your life that you're like, hey, they're neurodivergent, and then you said, oh, maybe I am too? How did it kind of start for you?
Oh man, so I grew up in a small town where there wasn't really any arts. Right. So I played sports because I was a white kid from the suburbs in the 90s. I played hockey in the winter, basketball, baseball in the spring. soccer in the fall, right? Rinse, wash, repeat. And then in high school, one of the kids I made friends with playing soccer, he was like, "Yo, I'm going to do the musical. You should do the musical." And I was like, "What is that? What is the word you used there with the words and the things?" And I showed up straight up cold. Like, I mean, like, is that not the most ADHD thing ever? Like, I've never done this before. Now I'm going to do it, and I'm an expert at it now. Um, and I realized very quickly, like, these are my freaking people, because I had never gotten along with the kids I played sports with, looking back on it, because they were all neurotypical as fuck,
Yeah.
right? Like, "Hey, man, you want to talk about professional wrestling?" I'm like, "I don't really." "Great. I like Dwayne The Rock Johnson." I'm like, I never agreed to this conversation.
I never agreed to
you
this
know,
conversation.
like, I read comic books like they were porn, right? Like they were like on
Jesus.
down low. Like, I actually probably in the 90s, I would have been much more open about the porn. Like, but that was before comics were cool, right? And like, I actually grew up near Kevin Smith's comic book shop, and I used to hang out there
nice.
all the time as a kid.
Awesome.
Comic book shop.
And like, but it was comic book shop, right?
I'm sure it was comic books.
It's not a dark alley. We don't like to talk about it too much.
What's this on the page?
Yeah.
It's sticky.
It's like some sort of natural adhesive.
It's environmentally safe.
Oh, Jesus.
Is it organic? I mean, like, I don't know. We're trending towards the getting nothing done part.
Okay. Go back to the comic book shop.
Give it go. Yep.
But it's like, immediately I was around all these kids who thought like me and vibed off things and made random connections like I did. And I came, and like, really, it was one of the most like meaningful conversations I had in my life. Because like, like, I wanted my dad to be proud of me, right? And my dad's a basketball guy. So he's like, "How did basketball tryouts go?" So I was like, "I joined the musical." And if he had stomped on that, right? I probably would have crawled back to basketball, and that would have been the end of it. He was like, "Cool. What does that mean?" I'm like,
Oh.
"I don't actually know." But I mean, he supported that, and then like 4 years of high school theater, 4 years of college theater. I did professional stand-up for a while, professional improv.
Oh.
Now I travel the world as a professional speaker, using a lot of the shit that I used on those stages. Like,
Yep.
I mean, that's, I planted a lot of seeds in a garden that bloomed 25 years later. And now I'm really successful at what I do because my friend Jason convinced me to be in Little Shop of Horrors in 1999.
Shout out to Jason.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason.
Jeez.
Good guy. He's a bona fide racist now, but good guy.
What the fuck?
You zigged what I thought you were going to zag.
I didn't know.
He's a very successful DJ in Los Angeles.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
For real?
Right.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, right. And it's he's one of those guys. Every time I look at his Instagram, it's like, "Oh, fuck you," with the jeans and the shirt, and it's like, God, gee, like Los Angeles, East Coast for life.
Jesus Christ. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.
That's as hardcore as I get. Mets.
I bet it
I went to
is.
Queens once.
I went
came
to
in
Queens
Uber,
once.
right?
It was terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying. I mean,
I saw
New
one
Girl
black guy left.
Like, nope. Fuck that. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Spence, what else you got for him? Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to be, so you did, you've been doing, you're a psychologist, and like you said, you've been kind of in like these like liberal arts kind of sections of your life. And how'd you get into psychology?
So I was working in travel sales, right? And it's actually like a lot of the like business consulting I do now is sort of based off this idea, because I'm like this super ADHD kid working in like virtual sales, right? Like, so we had like a giant like bullpen of computers, and and I just was taking a lot of micro breaks, right? Like, like make a couple of phone calls, read ESPN, make a couple of phone calls, read ESPN, right? And I got yelled at by my manager, and he was like, "What do you can't be reading ESPN on the floor." I was like, "First off, everybody's fucking doing that. right? Second of all, look at the sales numbers. I'm always top of the charts in phone calls. I'm always making the most sales. And I was like, let me be me because it's working, right? And so they sort of crafted a plan for me. And so I mean, like, listen, is there a better job in the world for when you're 23? Like, they'd be like, yo, anybody want to go to Greece this week? I'm like, I was like, I'm 23 and single. Shit, yes, right? Um, and so I would do that, and like we had a bar in our office, and we had these legendary parties, and it was awesome, awesome. And so they offered me a promotion. I was going to be a manager, and I did the thing where I was like, I'm gonna go home and think about it. And as I went home and thought about it, I was like, holy shit, if I take this, I'm gonna be here forever,
Yep.
which is a damn good job, right? But I was like, but it's not what I'm meant to do. Like I was always, you know, I was always like drawn to working with kids. I wanted to help people like me. And, the previous summer our company had sponsored a little league team. So after work, we would walk across the bridge and, coach these kids up. And, there was one kid and he was just so much like, I would pay good money to know what happened to this kid because he was out in left field, literally like spinning in circles, counting the planes flying overhead to Logan, you know, and I just loved this kid. And like, he's like, my dad says I have to play baseball because it gets me out of the house. I'm like,
Kid was autistic
I've
as
been
hell.
there, brother.
Yeah.
Get in here for the real thing, right? So I was like, that's really what I meant to do. So I went in the next day and I resigned, and they were like, "You what now?"
Oh shit.
So yeah, it's a bold negotiating strategy. And I popped out, and they were like, "Okay, listen, you've been very successful. Like, we'll pay you to stay here another month and a half, rewrite our training manual, help us make people more like you." So that's what I spent the next 6 weeks doing and training up new people, and took 3 people to replace me. Uh, and I went from making $66,000 a year and having an office and an expense account to working for $11 an hour in Southern New Jersey, with kids with severe behavioral disorders.
Yep.
And my accountant screamed at me.
Yep.
He called me some nasty names that I shan't repeat on the podcast. But that got me into grad school, and my very first placement was working at a school for twice exceptional kids. And I called my dad and I was like, I'm home. Like this is where I'm meant to be. And I had great mentors along the way, great leaders, great professors. And I mean, I came out of grad school, hit the ground running. I mean, and now I run my own practice because, like a lot of neurodivergent people, I am very good at being my own boss and very bad at being somebody else's employee, right? Dr. Naz, I know what I'm talking about, right? And that's the thing. It's like and the reason I call it a collective is like I was like, listen, I'm hiring for a reason. Go do your thing and call me if you need help. And that's it, right? We have 4 team meetings a year. And because fuck that noise, right? I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I mean, I hate meetings, right? But my door is always open if people need a question for a clinical thing or they're billing problems, right? And it's turned into this really sort of groundswell movement of like, we're not only attracting lots of clients, but we're attracting people who want to work for us. Like neurodivergent therapists are out there being like, so I'm sorry, so you're saying I don't have to spend 4 hours a week in meetings and 3 hours a week doing paperwork? I'm like, no, that shit sucks. Like, ain't none of us went to school to do paperwork. God, that sucks. So like, let's just focus on the reasons we got into this work and help a bunch of people.
Facts.
It's pretty much that simple.
Facts.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a question here. So with you, what made you do another pivot though? So you're doing these speaking engagements and these different things. So how'd that come about? Because you got your practice, you're doing the therapy and clinical stuff, right? And then now it's pivoted. So what brought that up? Because you thought you'd have a bigger outreach. What's going on?
So that was a part of it, but it happened so organically. Like I would work with a kid, and then I would go to IEP meetings at that kid's school.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, like, we need to know what you know. Would you come in and talk to us? So I would come in and talk to them. And then they would tell the parents about it. And the parents would be like, can you come to like a PTA meeting? And then that turned into all the local PTAs meet at the library on Tuesday. Can you come talk to that meeting? And then after that, someone was like, you should apply for this state conference. And I went just like the theater thing. I didn't know existed. And once you get plugged into the conference circuit, you realize there's a lot of freaking conferences out there, right? And
Yep.
it sort of becomes the thing that feeds the beast. Like this fall, I'm doing the Alabama Gifted Association, the Tennessee Gifted Association, the Louisiana Gifted Association, the Indiana Gifted Association, and speaking at the national conference, which happens to be in Seattle this year. And all those things grew out from me just going out there and basically talking to anybody who wanted to learn about how these kids work. And, that built a brand, built a name, and gave a shit ton of content out there, but it really all started from this, like, hey, can you help us understand these kids? And like, I mean, they're flying me to Europe in March to do a whole workshop out there. They're like, yeah, we're gonna have you in this like theater that was built in like 1407. Is that chill? I'm like, yeah, no, that's like the YMCA in Rockford, Maryland.
Yep.
That's exactly what that is. And I'm gonna just pee. I'm peeing. I feel like I'm peeing, right? It's just like, but I mean, like a lot of good improvers, right? I always say yes and, right? You just never know what's gonna happen if you say yes.
Right.
And that's where the ADHD is very helpful because it's like ready, fire, aim. Right? It's like, yes. Oh shit. Am I free then? It doesn't matter. I'm going to Europe.
And I'm done. Sorry. That was TMI. Interesting. So I'm gonna ask another question, then we'll probably do another little pivot. How the hell did you come across us? Because normally we reach out to. Did you reach out to us, or did we reach out to you? I feel like you reached out to us. I can't. It's been a long 3 months, brother.
Oh no. I mean, listen. I absolutely reached out to you guys because
I thought so.
I was doing some podcast research because we're thinking about starting our own, and I was basically compiling some lists of like podcasts that don't suck, right? And what, like, in the giant Venn diagram of all these, you guys were in the center of all. It was you guys and the Neurodiversity podcast with Emily Kircher Morris, who's a dear friend. Emily's awesome.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I know Emily really well. I do not know these guys really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I dug in and I was like, hold up. Loads of pop culture references, lots of cursing, and just random rabbit trailing on the neurodivergent universe. Like, sign me the fuck up, right? Like, because you do a lot of these that are very formal, and I'm here for a formal podcast, right?
Right.
I'm also here from this shit is real. It's real life. We are bouncing off each other, and like I did this one with they've rebranded the podcast. I don't remember the name of it now, but it's these two Australian guys. And it's Will and his co-host is Photon John. And Photon John is in a metal band. And it's just like
that tracks.
I think during the podcast, I don't think I talked for 20 minutes. These guys were just like I'm like,
that's too much.
Are spectacular.
Oh,
right? I'm
yeah.
just so happy.
Well,
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that we really wanted to make sure is that when we have a guest on is like have them have a space to actually speak and talk about themselves, because we can rattle on like ourselves, but like why even have somebody on then, So
yeah. And
yeah.
Spencer does a good job at keeping me in check, but also like making some funny comments, right?
Yeah. We
Mental
help
health
each other
is
back and forth. Yeah.
pure mental health therapy, workshops, outreaches are the most boringest thing you'll ever see in your entire life. I mean, you're mind-numbingly, I want to die inside. And the way we do it is we're going to be authentic. We're going to make sure that the other person feels authentic. They can share all their identities with us, and we're going to share most of ours with them as well. So this has been labeled over and over and over from over 100 guests now. Some of them in the hundreds of thousands, 200,000s, like super fucking famous, Emmy nominated director and producer that we just pumped out today.
Yep.
And they say this is the most fun they've ever had in the podcast. Magnificent therapist, Dr. Drea is like, this is the most fun she's ever had in 10 years on a podcast. And I take that as a deep compliment because this is hard work. Why am I going to ask a guest to work? Like, you're doing this for fun, for free. Like, we're going to have fun, but we're going to also educate and teach some pedagogy. Yeah. And I do our best to, Spencer's amazing now with the interviews and questions, but then also I need to make sure that it's humorous. And so that's where I get my little sidebar comments and stuff like that, because you just have to. And so yesterday we had a magnificent guest on, Dr. Peck, and she said there's actually real good science about laughter. And with that laughter, you actually implants that memory, sears was the word that she used.
The word I used.
You used? Because I remember she said something.
I used it, and she took it.
She took it. Yeah. And all I could see, you guys were like talking about steaks and stuff. I was like, are we branding people?
Yeah. Got to sear it into your brain.
I was like, I don't feel like this branding is
saying that shit. Like,
yeah.
It's going to have a hard sear.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that. I thought you reached out to us. I just wanted to ask, because I know I reach out. I go on these little neurodivergent, like autistic like spurts where I will, well, not even just that, just talking. When I'm gathering guests, I'll send out maybe like 100 emails, and then that's it. Like I'm done probably for like 6 months. And I wasn't sure if you were in there, and you weren't. You found us. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's hard. Someone else reached out to me too. I think you have like a publicist now that reaches out to people. I want to make sure I didn't get spammed.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean,
that was real.
Part of my,
good.
Part of my whole like neurodivergent journey this year has been like, hey, Matt, maybe don't carry the weight of the world on your back like you're, freaking Atlas. Like hire a virtual assistant. And then I'm working with a company, Earfluence, who they're like, we're gonna book you on podcasts. We will be your podcast agent.
Yep.
Right. And of course, because I'm ADHD and I can't help myself sometimes, I'm like still reaching out to people, and I'm like, I'll do it myself. I just don't have to do as much of it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find an agent to book the speaking gigs for me too, because it's just
too much.
It's too much, right? And I tell my clients all the time, success in life is about working smart, not working hard.
Yep.
Right. If you're an ADHD or if you're autistic, if you're dyslexic, I know you know how to work hard because you've had to work your ass off to get to this point.
Correct.
Right. What can we help you do to work smart? Because that's what you unlock, whatever that next level is. And obviously it looks different for everybody, but like for me, the less time I'm spending finding podcasts and emailing them and doing all that shit, the more time I spend to be on the podcast, which is what I really enjoy.
Yep.
Right.
That's what I thought. I wanted to ask that as we transition into the scenes, because I knew that's what it was. There's too much to do. So you got to have a team now. It's all about having a team and being able to pivot, take less off of your plate. Right. Or to like what we've done for the podcast is we've tried to streamline everything. Everything we do is so fucking streamlined now. It's just, as soon as this is done, I put it through like 3 or 4 things and I'm good. It used to take me hours to edit, to make things. Thank God for ChatGPT. Without ChatGPT, I'd be dead in the water. With dyslexia and all that, like it's impossible for me to fucking write anything. It is. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was it. I just wanted to put some attention to that.
Before we get into the scenes, before we do that, you also have a book that's coming out in August called the Neurodiversity Playbook. Could you tell us a little bit about that and where people can pre-order or buy it?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I could talk to that 15-year-old version of myself who's like, ditching basketball for musical theater, that kid never would have believed you could write a book.
Yeah.
Right. He had a book in here, but there was no way you could have sat still long enough. And I mean, really, I turned 40 in October last year. And for really the first time in my life, I feel like my prefrontal cortex can like carry its weight a little bit. Like I'm taking its ass along, like your drunk friend leaving the bar. It's like, I don't know. It's like, you're gonna go, bro. It's last call. We've been run. No, I want to stay. We're playing shots. That's not even a game. It's fine. Right. But like, so here I am, like doing my writing. I got it done. I called my editor. I was like, here's my idea for a book. And I want to have it out this fall because I'm doing all these state conferences. She's like, cool. I know you have ADHD. You lead with that. Here's the deadline. You need to have the book to me if you're going to do it. And I was like, awesome. Give me an insane deadline because otherwise I will kick the book to what I like to call the magical land of later. And in the magical land of later is where I'm going to go to the gym and shave my beard and make up with my, super racist uncle and all that other stuff that I'm never going to do, right? Um, and it's just like, okay, you know what? But I found a way to do it, and the book is my 10 most popular talks and therapy concepts distilled into this whole idea that 80% of people are neurotypical. They have built the world, they built the code. And there's a lot of like spoken and unspoken rules that benefit neurotypical people. Not that they're out to get us, it's not like that, but they just built the world that works for them. How do we become aware of this code and how do we crack it as neurodivergent people so we can play their game and still win at the end? And so it comes to this idea that it's not about selling yourself out, it's about code switching, right? If I have to talk to the bank, like I'm gonna be neurotypical as fuck. Like, yes, thank you. I would like to make a deposit. I'm not playing Pokemon on my Go on my phone underneath this desk. My hands are here and I'm looking at you and I'm doing very important adult nodding. This is a very good nodding, right?
It's very good. Yeah.
Yes, right.
I'll give you a loan. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. How about?
I mean, you're a white man, so I'll just give it to you anyways.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I was born on third base. I'm not going to pretend I hit a triple. Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You're not fucking Barry Bonds out here. I'm just gonna walk this guy.
Fuck it. Yeah, just go home. Just walk all the way around.
Just go home.
It's fine.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. That algorithm that we have to find, that code, right? I was at the bank the other day and I told Spence about it on the podcast. I was sweating bullets, but not because I'm autistic, is because, I'm racism. And I'm sitting there like, man, I'm doing something illegal. I'm like, she gonna get me? She gonna know, right? And she's like, well, we got to do all these checks just in case you're doing tax evasion. I'm like, well, shit. I thought that's why I'm doing this.
Suppose I am.
Yeah.
I mean, it always makes me think of this scene in Office Space where they're trying to figure out how to launder money, and they ask the guy, he's like, "You're not going to tell the police about this, right?" And he goes, "It depends." Right? Like,
How much money you got?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm telling you, I got a banker now. I forgot her name, but I feel real white right now. It's the whitest I've ever felt in my life. He's like,
white man.
USA.
Like a venti chai, right? I mean,
I would like, whoa, I'm not going there.
Oh.
You just found the third rail. It's like, oh,
there it is.
I'm not crossing that line.
And with that third rail, let's get into the scenes. There you go.
Right.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it on this show.
Where's my gun?
All right. Oh, Jesus. All right. Well,
you're in the wrong place, boy.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. So the first scene, right, that we're doing has to do with Schmidt. And he's going through his OCD, right? So Jess is new to the apartment, and then she's like, you know what? I'm going to put my stuff in there. I'm going to bring my stuff in because I pay rent too. And Schmidt did not like that at all because it was a dirty hutch she brought in. And then she's also using like all of his like very expensive things to do very non-expensive things to them. So and then later in the episode he goes and he is a beach bum and he eats hot dogs from a homeless man in a cart. So he went a little
too far.
He was over here, then he went way over there.
Yep.
Overcorrected.
Yeah. And then he at the end, I also love the scene where they do a flashback and both Winston and who else was it? Oh my gosh. Was it? I can't remember right now. And Jake, his real name's Jake, but whatever. They're both like playing like baseball, but with a head of lettuce, and then it hits Schmidt, and then he's fat, and he just goes and throws up.
Oh my God.
So good. So good. But before we actually get into I know, Fat Schmidt. We built this Schmitty on Tootsie Rolls. All right. Anyways, before we get into it, I would love to know, Matt, are there like a couple characters that you really identify with in New Girl?
Oh man, so I think for the I have nothing in common with Cece. I am the whitest man on the planet, and I am not a model, and I'm not gorgeous, but I very much love you, Cece. But I mean, like the four parts of me are the four characters that we're talking about, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, like the creative, somewhat depressive, like may drink too much Nick Miller,
May?
right? The right, what? Huh? Dr. Naz? The human puppy that is Jessica Day, right? ADHD and attentive type, in my humble opinion. Um, the like if people would just freaking listen to me from Schmidt, right? I actually he killed me. I can't say raccoon anymore.
Raccoon.
Raccoons. He's like poisoned my brain. I can't, you know, Winston. I just raccoon typical. I mean, I just it's like awful. And and of course, you know, Winnie the Bish.
Winnie
Um,
the Bish.
you know, this is probably the only time in my life I can say I'm just like this black guy, because
Finally.
finally,
Me and
after
the
this long-
blacks, we got a lot in common. Me and the
Hey, brother, right?
we're the
those
same.
two-letter-
We're the
Hard
same.
I sing like black people mean it, which I think means more. Um,
Real
Right.
quick, one of my favorite scenes, you know, I'm autistic, brother's autistic, and we were watching New Girl together, and there's that one scene where they're trying to design something, and
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, it's so black, it's the blackest. And he's like, marketing's gonna be terrible from this. And then my brother walked around, it's so black, it's the blackest. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Like, say it again. Say
Oh
it
my
again.
God. Sorry. Just whenever I think of that show, I think of those two idiots designing things, me and my brother,
Yeah.
and then just getting like a obsessive like cycle of words, and then the echolalia just comes out.
oh yeah.
Continue about Winston, sorry.
Well, and they establish Winston's background that he's always been great at everything.
Yep.
Right. And then he finishes college and he doesn't know where to go, and he ends up in the Latvian league. And it's like that's the gifted kid journey for a lot of people, because if everything comes super easy for you, you don't build that grit. You
No.
don't build that resilience that other kids build. Right. So then life becomes harder than you are smart, and you crash. There's actually a term for it in the field. It's called the performance cliff. And Winnie the Bish is a great example of what happens to you after you hit the performance cliff. And, you know, he has all those terrible jobs. And like, personally, I don't know what writer decided, like, let's make him a cop. That was not maybe the best.
Not the best timing either with that.
Right.
No.
Hey, black
but-
people could be cops too. They don't all have to be racist white guys.
Yeah, but like out of a comedy, you're just like,
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't a good
I know.
decision.
So many other options. But that's yeah, I mean, neither here nor there. So like those Winston storylines where he's just like when he's just like he looks at all their craziness, he's like, I'm gonna just do my own thing with my cat, Ferguson.
Yep.
And it's like
Autistic.
who among us of neurodivergence hasn't been like, fuck this noise, I'm gonna go play with my cat. Like, so you know, that's or whatever it is you're doing over there. And nobody needs to know what that is, right?
Mhm.
You know?
So many routes
So
to go down.
much-
we're
So
gonna-
many.
Oh
We're
my
gonna
God.
pivot.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
because I don't wanna
pivot.
because you know, and then if we say that, then we and then I just don't wanna.
Oh, so we wanted to really one of the topics that we really wanted to cover was OCD versus OCPD. So
Yeah.
can you give us like a little bit of a rundown? What's the difference between OCD and OCPD?
So OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, right? And that's where you have intrusive thoughts, and those thoughts create anxiety. And the anxiety goes away when you do a behavior that manages that anxiety, right? So when people say shit like, I'm a little OCD, it's like, trust me, no, you're not. You have a preference for order, and I'm down with that. But like we're talking about people, I work with a kid who spends, 3 to 4 hours trying to pick a shirt that is the right shirt,
Yep.
and he cannot tell himself or me or anybody who loves him what the right shirt is. And he will be sobbing,
Yep.
knowing he's going to be late to school, knowing he's going to miss first period, second period, third period. He missed his prom. He could not find a shirt. And it's heartbreaking. So like, miss me with that. I like my keys to be in this one bowl. And if they're not, I go crazy because that stuff drives me nuts. OCPD, or obsessive compulsive personality disorder, is a type of person who sort of internalize that preference for order, but it's really marked by sort of this rigidity around thoughts and feelings and behavior. And it can look a lot like autism, right? It's got a lot of those
Yep.
similar behavioral
Yep.
characteristics. And OCD is a neurodivergence, right? The brain does work differently, so you could see the overlap there. So like, Schmidt doesn't have the rituals that are common with OCD, but he has that deep preference for order, that rigidity, and the explosiveness comes out when those things are violated in some way, right? You don't put the hutch there because he's going to freak out. And, I mean, I think that it's a testament to how talented of an actor Max Greenfield is, that he does this for laughs, but without making it a cartoon. Like, I think he humanizes Schmidt, like, because that character shouldn't work,
No.
but something about him makes it work. And I think it's how awesome he is.
Judaism, son. He says it in the show, so I can say it. I can say it.
Hater. I also have to agree with that, and I also think like he also had to shift the character a little bit during the seasons.
Yeah,
because the way the character was at first, he was like total douche.
it was horrible.
Total douchebag. It was bad. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you see this switch where he, like you said, becomes a lot more human,
Goofy.
and then goes a little bit more into the goofy, and then also a little bit more of like you said, like kind of the OCPD a little bit more too. And so that gives him a little bit more character and a little bit something else to grow with, instead of just being like a douchebag who's just like, oh yeah, like I buy everything, whatever. I'm in marketing, So
his writing was good because his acting in The Neighborhood is good, but the show is corny as hell. But that's because the writers and the way CBS does comedies, it's just, they're weird. CBS
formula, right?
Yeah, it's just weird, and the lens that they use is just all weird. Where if this would have been Fox or ABC, it would have been magnificent, and it would look like a real live action show. So he got some help with the company that he was with too. I will give, he did magnificent, and thankfully this was a Fox NBC show, not a CBS show, because it just would have been horrible. The sitcoms there and the laugh tracks there, I mean, it's so cheesy sometimes. So this,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned CBS, right? Like, you see Winston, you see all the characters grow, right? And that's unusual in comedies, right? Homer Simpson is always Homer Simpson. Peter Griffin is always Peter Griffin, right? And if you think about how Schmidt grew and evolved authentically in the show, right? Versus like Sheldon Cooper, who's like basically a human robot until, oh wait, I'm in love, and now this. And it's like, it never felt like he earned it.
Yeah.
Whereas like you watch the show and like, I mean, the character's introduced, he has a douchebag jar, right? That's his defining trait. But then when he proposes to Cece and he's like, I'm gonna marry you, you sit there and you're like, yes, I believe that. I believe that your heart opened like the goddamn Grinch, right? And grew 3 sizes that day, right? And that's just, it's like you say, it's a testament to his acting, but also a testament to the writing that you could see by that, right?
Facts. Yeah. Real quick, because that's one of the most triggering episodes is that scene, right? And then the music that plays there too. So anytime I hear that music, I gotta go to the next episode. The music when they're leaving and like it's the end of like end of the season, or like he has to move away in like season 2 or 3, And then the one on the very last episode when it's all done, right? Those songs fuck me up. I'm like, nope. So I heard one of those songs the other day, and I'm like, change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with Scrubs. The
Oh,
ending to
my God,
Scrubs.
Yeah.
So tough. Then they had like a little projector kind of screen and flashbacks, and then also seeing his future, him having kids and stuff. It was just such great television.
It was.
Also, it was NBC, but then they moved to ABC.
Okay.
So still though, but yeah, NBC they're fantastic at making shows.
They can do some good
Same with
shows, man.
ABC. ABC is great too. And Fox.
9.
Yeah.
So this OCD-PD, I'm glad you explained it. Spence, we went to that basketball game for New Year's. And remember this little white boy come up to us and like, hey, Nas and Spencer, remember? And you remember that? We were at the Minnesota Timberwolves game.
Yeah, I remember he said hello to you.
He said hello to you, but he didn't say hello to you. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Well, fuck you then. All right, cool. We went to the same school together. It's all good.
Yeah.
All good.
All good. So he
didn't feel any way about it.
So he's talking to me. And that young man had horrific clothing issues. When it came to getting dressed, he would spend hours and hours and hours, and everyone would tease him. Wasn't a client, just a young man that was magnificent, soft-spoken, very anxious, very particular, great RA, great protector of other students, resident assistant, if for those of you who haven't been in the college system. And I'd be like, man, this is fucked up. Y'all teasing him about this, man. He always looked good, fresh to death. But they said it would take hours, and he would run late for shit. And like, I know that OCD was bad with him. And that probably plays into when he talks to people in public too, Spence. That anxiety, that OCD, that rigidness, he felt safe with me. It's like, I don't really fuck with Spencer, or I don't know him, or maybe that's a different guy. Who knows?
No, I didn't actually take it personally.
I know. But it just made me think of that young man. And then we just did like an OCD podcast that came out last week, and those reels are going bananas with the turtles all the way down in that movie that we did, because those are really intense scenes, man, really intense scenes. And OCD, pure OCD right there versus that OCD-PD, which a lot of autistic folks fall into. And sometimes, right, you can be both. You can be autistic and have that, personality disorder too. And I will put the diagnosis in as autism, and then I'll put it unspecified personality disorder, provisional, right? And then later on, I'll put it in as provisional OCD-PD. So it's a thing, right? I mean, I fall under that shit 100%, right? I like things a certain way. And if it doesn't go that certain way, I'm like, murder.
Schmiegel wants to murder you.
Murder.
Schmiegel wants to murder.
And then they do it my way, and I'm trying to teach them, like, we'll get into the next scene. And I'm like, you're not doing the right way, you stupid motherfucker. Why are you so fucking stupid?
Yeah, 3 weeks on a road trip. Yeah. Sometimes you can feel it. You can feel like you're not doing it right. Oh, fuck.
There's a rage emanating. It's like a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's more just like he's breathing harder than he usually does. And I'm like,
I do breathe hard. I get it. I'm fat as hell.
I know, but then it's angry hard.
Well, that's what we call an anger boner. That's what. That's what they call it on The Boys. He gets that murder boner.
Sure, bro. Sure. You just keep on saying, "Oh, your sexy shit,
sexual stuff." Hey, he talked about peeing on someone earlier.
He peed himself, you asshole.
Oh, I just imagined someone under. I'm sorry. Well, I thought I was going to tie this into something really therapeutic, and then I lost it. So let's get to the next scene. Yeah.
So the next one is it's where Winnie the Bish is helping Jess with so she's doing a kind of a community service kind of deal with students, and Winston's there to help because he had this natural ability to just play the bells, just play them to perfection, right? Slightly disappointed when I saw the behind the scenes and there was no bells in it. It was all just after those post
Yeah.
credits shit. I was just like, oh, okay, it's rude. Um, and then so he's doing this, but then all of a sudden now he starts getting a little bit cockier with it. He starts kind of lashing out once the other students who are actually part of the program, and this is supposed to be helping them, aren't doing it to the same beat as him because he got it perfectly. And so, and then he storms out, and he's like, "I'm quitting," and then the students are just like, "Well, we're gonna quit too because he was the best person to do this. So why would we do it anymore?" Um, so we wanted to talk about perfectionism, right? And you had a great you really encapsulated the scene great, and just Winnie in the beginning, before we even started filming. So if you could kind of go back to that and just kind of break down, it's like, how does Winston really, uses perfectionism, but then it's also a detriment to him as well.
So there are two kinds of perfectionism, right? There's adaptive perfectionism and maladaptive, right? So adaptive is I want to get better. I want to be better. I want to be the best version as I can be, right? Maladaptive perfectionism is I got to be perfect or else. Like, can I win an award for like best mental health podcast? Or do I have to be named the greatest podcaster of all time? You're never going to hit that second one.
No.
It's not possible, right? Well, I mean, maybe you, Spence. I mean, like we all rooting for you, baby, right? And
Blech.
so adaptive perfectionism is like what can I do next? It's aspirational, it's cumulative in nature. Maladaptive perfectionism is deficit based. It's like, how am I going to fuck this up?
Okay.
Right. And so Winston, who's someone for whom a lot of things come very easy, you know, he can't imagine things not being easy for somebody, right? And that's where his high standards slide into that maladaptive part, right? This is where we also talk a lot about overexcitabilities. So Dabrowski, the famous Polish psychologist, came up with 5 areas of overexcitability: sensory, intellectual, imaginational, emotional, and intellectual, right? So those are the big 5. And so like that intellectual overexcitability here is like, how come everybody doesn't care as much about this as I am, right? The internet was like filled with jokes about the Roman Empire for a minute there.
Yeah.
I have a couple of kids who are like experts in the Roman Empire, and they were like, but they're not serious about the Roman Empire. They're just making jokes about the Roman Empire, and you can't make jokes. I'm like, you're proving their point. Good, 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 good. Right? Because it's this like fundamental lack of what we call theory of mind, right? That I exist and you have different thoughts and experiences than me because you're a different person than me, right? Dr. Nas, like, we're both doctors. We don't have the same training. We don't have the same experience. We can talk shop very easily,
Yeah.
right? But I can't sit here like and say, Dr. Nas, you'd agree with my diagnosis because you're approaching it from a different lens,
Yeah.
not better or worse, just different.
Yep.
But Winston can't see how other people would be different than him. He's blinded by that overexcitability.
I laugh because he's colorblind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a brown frog. And then one of the best lines from Schmidt ever: Winston, what color do you think you are? Like, he's doing the puzzle of the rocks.
Is it Tyrone Biggums? And I left her because, and I'm not going to say the rest, but from Dave Chappelle, super racist. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's why I laughed. I'm sorry. So continue. This is magnificent. Some of these things, right, I know, but I don't know. So like your mind is operating on a different wavelength than mine.
And like that, being smart enough to know what you're doing and what everybody else should be doing creates a chasm that you can either fill with praise and lifting people up,
Yep,
or crushing them into a cube,
Yep.
right? And that's what Winston chooses to do. And like part of the reason I chose that clip is that when the bells are playing, it's awful. Centrally, it's like, oh, that's terrible. But it's the thing, it's like, so listen, I'm a terrible singer, right? You don't ever want me to sing. But my choir teacher in high school was like, listen, if you work with me, you will get better. You will never be a great singer, but you could be a good singer,
Yeah.
an okay singer, right? But if he was like, you suck at this, you're never going to be good at it, I would have bounced right out of there, right? I mean, I'm going to law school or something like that. Like, it's, you gotta meet people where they're at, because that's the only way to get them to what level they're capable of,
Yeah.
right? So much of the feedback we give people, especially neurodivergent people, is you're doing it wrong.
You suck.
You're bad. You'll
You're
never
bad.
be good at this.
Yep. We shame and we shame and we shame. And we don't have the time or energy or patience or the give a fucks to try to find a new way to teach, to educate. When I'm working with clients, very patient, very patient. When I'm in the outside world and working with family, Spencer, I'm like, you need to do this. And like, I'll circle back real kindly. Like, I'm going to put Dr. Matt on blast right now. I was DMing him over since he booked, like, hey man, you need to send us the clips. You need to send us the clips. And then I sent him a thing the other day, said, so I was actually mad then. I was like, send me the fucking clips. And Spencer's like, it's fine, bro. And he's like, he's probably neurodivergent too. And I'm like, we on a whole different level of professionalism here now. It's because I'm black. I know why you didn't send it. I know why you didn't send it, you motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
When does that happen?
Well, what a great example of authentic communication.
Correct.
Right? You're being real with me, which lets me be real with you. And but also dialectic thinking, that two things can be true. I was absolutely taking this podcast seriously, and I fucking forgot.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I know.
Those things can be true, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But that blame and shame game only makes room for one dialogue.
Correct.
You're done fucked up, right? And that's the thing. It's like, if this number gets quoted a lot. I'm not really sure how accurate it is, but let's use it anyway. They say ADHD kids get 17 times more negative comments than neurotypical
Yep,
kids.
heard that.
That's going to fuck you up.
Yep.
Like, that's just like, if you sprained your ankle 17 more times than an average person, if you got migraines 17 times more average time than the average person,
Good visual.
if you got 17 times as drunk as somebody, like, it's gonna fuck you up, right?
Yeah.
And we wonder why so many ADHDers are walking around anxious, depressed messes. Yeah, we can connect the dots pretty well there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can hold people to high standards, but if you're using that adaptive perfectionism, it's like, listen, I'm going to help you grow. I'm going to help you climb the ladder.
Yep.
Versus yelling at you, why aren't you at the top yet? Right?
I think I had this a lot growing up. This is why we're going to get into this in a second, but why I'm horrible with like compliments or people like being loving or kind is because I was so used to being horrific, terrible, shame-based, being kicked out of elementary, not just suspended over and over and over, and then being in special ed and then being expelled and then going to like autism fucking school for behavior modification and then going to another school and getting suspended. And then no one just gave a shit. And I was worthless. I was a loser. I was a fucking idiot. I was quote unquote retarded, right? The kid can't read, but God bless him. He's in like 7th grade fucking math in like 3rd grade, even though he's beating people up with backpacks. Like the kid can fucking do math and the kid can do science. He just can't read. And I was so bored. I was so gifted. I was bored. In that boredom, I would fuck with people. I do the same thing now. I fuck with people because I like to stir the pot because I'm ADHD and I'm bored. But you come to college and now people are patient with you. And you're like, why? Well, there's something about you. You have skills and talent. You're going to be somebody. And I'm like, bleh. And if I don't go bleh, then I cry.
Yeah.
Because it's emotionally overwhelming. And then I'm like, this is too much. I can't take this. I'm a piece of shit. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And then the fact that I'm different is magnificent, but also it feels horrific and like a sin. Because I shouldn't be this gifted, but also this idiotic. So it's very complex being like Winston, being like Schmidt. There's just so many different levels to try to learn and get affirmations and from folks, but then also to teach folks. I think when you've been on one side as a neurodivergent individual, you do, most of us, I'm not speaking for all of us, you do get a lot more patience for teaching other neurodivergent individuals. Because now you're like, I'm going to protect this kid. And I'm not going to be the one to fuck this kid up even more.
Right.
Not going to be me. The world sucks. Not going to be me.
Not gonna be me.
Not today. You're not getting shit on by me today.
Not today, Satan. But I mean, we could talk about everything you just said. And thank you for sharing all that like authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Like you were just so real. And like this is why it's a great podcast, right? This is why I reached out, because like yeah, you all fuck around, but like you can flip that switch and
Instantly.
get super deep, right? And I mean, like we've known each other for like an hour and a half, right? And like we're just being like three dudes just being super real with each other. Like that thing is like, if I don't laugh, I'm gonna cry. I don't think neurotypicals realize how often neurodivergent people are ready to cry. Like it is never far from our brains, right? Because it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, or it's going to be too emotional, or it's going to be too loud. And I just can't. And like, I cannot tell you how, like, I heard someone say like, oh, the sign of wanting to cry a lot is a sign of depression. I'm like, you're missing the point.
No.
Like it's a question of emotionality.
Yep.
Like those feelings have to go somewhere, right? And that's where it's like, are we putting people in situations to express those feelings safely and pro-socially, right? And a lot of times we're not, especially for adult men.
Yep.
Right? You know, boys get shit, right? Yep. But adult men have it worse, I think.
For real. I mean, let's be real. There ain't many men mental health podcasts. There ain't many men guests, right? So that's why, like, I'm thankful that you're here, and I wanted to make sure that you got here because there ain't a lot of dudes in this. And so it's hard. It's slim pickings out there. And so it's magnificent that we got this moment. I'm going to say this and then we can go to the next scene. My supervisor asked me today, we were just talking. I said, I got this. Here's the things on my agenda. And it's a bi-weekly check-in. And she said, how you doing? I just lost my shit and started crying, like sobbing.
Right.
And I was like, I'm like, and after I was like, stop crying. I'm like, I'm actually doing very well. Like life is extremely good. Just last week was kind of sus. She's like, are you taking care of yourself? And like, do you need like a therapist or support? I'm like, I'm good. My boys are good. I'm checking it. I processed the shit on the podcast the other day with my boy. Like, I'm good. I'm just doing my yoga, my workout. Like, I'm doing really, we just had a 3-week camping trip and shit. Like, but I just, you asked me at a really rough time and, some shit came up and then she got me at the wrong time and I just fucking lost my shit. And she started crying. I was like, Jesus Christ, I just broke a black woman. There we go. If you can bike a black woman, you fucked us. You did it, man.
Yeah, like, that's the boss level right there.
Boss level. Well, I saw,
you'll not make me cry.
That one tear, I was like, oh no, I did it. Is this racism?
Oh my God. Just like, oh no, you did the glory. You did the glory. You did Denzel and Glory. Just,
yeah. It was, so you're right, man. Men don't have it. She's like, I'm here for you. I'm like, yo, thank you. And I swear to God, I'm fine. And maybe I had to process that for a minute. Am I actually fine?
Right.
Am I repressing a lot of shit as a man or not? And I'm like, so I thought about some shit like that, right? It fucked me up for a while, but yeah, you're right, man. We don't have a lot of spaces. And I cry in front of Spencer all the time, right? Me and him both got very emotional in the last couple podcasts.
Yes.
It's just tough. Go ahead.
One of the reasons it took me so long to get my clips to you is I was trying to do the short film Float.
Oh yeah.
Right? I don't know if you saw
we did that
joint, right?
Yeah.
We did that one. Yeah.
And I haven't seen that episode. I cannot watch that without sobbing.
That shit is tough.
And every time I watch it, I started sobbing. And every time and I was just like, I just can't with this. But like it felt so on brand for you guys. Like, let's be like super real about this and like let's really make this, especially it's about fathers and a kid and like that just
and it's men
of it, like I was just like, I just can't because I'm gonna just be choked up the whole podcast.
Yeah.
Like that John Mulaney bit when he's trying to talk through a burp. He's like, look, but that's my crying voice. It's like, you just theoretically the prefrontal cortex. Take a breath, Dr. Matt. Like
it's like when Dr. Matt wants to say the N-word. Hey, real quick, completely sarcastic. That's not, complete
no.
joke. I don't want anyone to get offended.
You are obviously not a guy who's going to be blurring out the N-word.
Yeah,
we know
I thought it was funny. It's intrusive. I just don't want him to get in trouble.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay, let's
get. In my head, I'm like, nerd? Nitrogen?
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Nancy Reagan?
What was it on South Park? Is it naggers?
No, my God.
Because they're nagging you so much.
We understand.
I get it. I'm done.
Next scene. Give me cookie. Gave me cookie, got you cookie. Right?
I give you a cookie.
So
jackass.
Sorry. We all got stuck.
Well, you just demonstrated what the clip's all about, right? The vital social of prosody, right? And because you were like, I'll get you a cookie, which like if we're gonna lean into like autism trope land for a second
Go
here.
ahead.
Like the autistic person doesn't get that. They're like, you okay? Like you if it's already stated you're going to get me a cookie. I don't know why you're doing the eyebrow thing. That's weird. Right. And like, you know, and it's like one of my clients, he's in college and he's he's not autistic, but he's certainly high enough in the IQ spectrum that there's a lot of similarities there. And this girl in his class was like, oh, why don't you come over and study? And his answer, God bless him, was, we don't have a test coming out. And I was like, bro, I will drive to your campus and I will throw a rock at you.
I've been there.
And haven't we all, right?
Yeah.
And then like 3 years later, you're like walking in the store and it hits you. You're like, mother.
She was a pretty girl. Oh, fuck.
What? I have regrets. And so it's like this dovetails nicely with all the stuff we're talking about. Like men have no spaces to talk about feelings. And as a result, a lot of us are really fucking bad at it. So like, Nick is trying to say to Schmidt he loves him, right? I got you cookie, right? But he can't. So he's just saying that phrase over and over, but every time he imbues it with slightly different emotional meaning. And because Schmidt's hurt, right? He's like trying really hard not to hear that, right? He's trying really hard to like not hear the apology in there. And that's why, Winston's in there be like, Schmidt, come on, man, don't be a jackass, right? Like, and it's the sort of thing, like, so much of being able to connect with anybody, but particularly a neurodivergent person, is about being able to speak their language, to code switch, like we were talking about before. Like, have y'all heard the expression pebbling?
No.
So it's like you sending him 15 reels, right? That's pebbling. Because when penguins like another penguin, they bring a pretty rock over to their nest. They bring a pebble, right? So, you pebbled him all day today. And like him bringing him a cookie is a pebble. It's a representation of more than it actually is. But you got to be willing to see it for more than it is.
Yeah,
I don't like how you're giving his autism. Like,
you're
bullshit,
doing it. You're
the
way, all I see is pebbling is just being on Halo, and you're hitting the B button.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You're teabagging me.
We gotta take a break.
We broke him. He's out.
He almost passed out. He does this almost every pod. He almost passed out.
That was a good one. Wow, I need
Look at his eyes.
Jesus, that was the blood pressure shot. I was like, well, hello, friends.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, I almost got killed by. I know I was gonna get killed by a white man. But you're right, pebbling. So that's a thing. I didn't think that was a thing, but yeah, of course, we all have our different ways to show love.
Mm-hmm.
Like every so often, like my friend Brian will send me an article that made him think of me, and he's a science writer, right? And he's super fucking famous, and like it's like you're flipping through the TV, right? And like I flip through Comedy Central, and he's on the Daily Show being interviewed by Jon Stewart.
Jesus,
I was like, this motherfucker has played beer pong in my basement, but like, no, you go do you, kid. You go be on Jon Stewart, right? But
and like, you're sitting here with us. Life is not going well if you're sitting here with us.
This is the bottom.
This is why I should have never tried meth. Okay.
Yes. Some people get Williams Sonoma, some people get Kmart, and that's just how it gonna be. Like
Life is just going life.
I didn't make a meth reference. Hey,
we talked about it in the last show. Hey, the blue stuff, that's the good stuff. I'm sorry. So so your friend sent you, what did he send you though? I'm curious. What did he send you?
Articles about neurodivergence, articles about how asking autistic people to design AI helps neurotypical designers see blind spots.
Yep.
Because they're skipping steps, because if you're neurodivergent, you don't get to skip those steps, right? That you've got to make those rules spoken. So, it's this idea. I tell a story all the time. Like, I lived with my grandmother for a little while, and my grandmother was very neurotypical and a very indirect communicator. And I was living with her, and she's like, "Oh, it's gonna rain later." I'm like, "Cool, Grandma." I'm reading my paper, right? And later, my mom texted me. She's like, "Grandma's upset." I'm like, "Why is she upset?" She's like, "Well, she was asking you to take in the laundry." I'm like,
"Oh."
But then you hear it, and you're like, "Shit." So those are the things that having autistic people help code AI is making sure that they're covering all those language gaps.
Yep.
That we're biased to, right? And I just think that's such a fascinating thing.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, in its own way, that's saying I love you, right? In its own way, that's saying like you crossed my mind in a positive way, right? He's not doxing me. He's not sending me like a exploding box of glitter. I did get one of those once.
What the fuck?
Yeah, a very unhappy ex of my old roommate who was legitimately a sociopath. I lived with an honest to God sociopath, and she sent it to me because she knew I would open it. And
Fuck.
and I'm like covered in glitter, and I had kicked his ass out of the apartment, and because I was raised to be a very nice person, I wrote her a letter back. I was like, "Dear girl's name," I'm not going to put her on blast. Ryan I am going to put him on blast though.
Yeah, of course.
He no longer lives here. I kicked him out, and please, I think he moved to Chicago. If you're going to send another glitter bomb box, try and find him there. Sincerely, Matt. And I mailed it back to her, and I'm just like still vacuuming up the glitter, right?
Yep.
It's
you know what they say about glitter? It's the herpes of art.
Fucking
hey,
God damn it.
Real quick. So I just want to go on the TED version where we guess this white lady's name. Jennifer, Rebecca, Tammy Lynn, Jennifer Lynn.
Was there a Lynn at the end of it?
Yeah, right? Go through state names, right?
Charlotte.
Georgina.
Georgina. New Yorkie. I don't fucking know.
Oh, this is magnificent podcast. I needed this podcast today.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I needed this today.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. So, what the hell, Steve? What we talking about?
We're talking about
masculinity.
Cookie.
Oh,
yeah,
so there was a certain word that you used earlier. What the hell is that word? Explain it to folks. It's changing in inflection and meaning of words.
Yeah. So the word is prosody.
Prosody.
And it's the, I mean, for those of you who are partnered, right? It's the difference between your partner saying, "Yeah, you can go out," and "Yeah, you can go out." I mean, it's the same sentence, but it is not the same sentence.
Sure.
Right? And like a chill just went through the podcast audience.
Yeah.
But it's the sort of thing, there's a lot of nuance to that. And that is traditionally a blind spot for a lot of neurodivergent people.
Yep.
Because our brains work differently, specifically in this case, mirror neurons. Mirror neurons pick up on what other people do, but we're, if like a neurotypical person is in 4/4 time, we're in like 7/8 time. Like we're like kind of syncing up every once in a while, but it's like, and like, so they're throwing nuance out that our brains are just zipping right past. So you're going to miss things like, "Do you want to come over and study later?" And it's like emphasis on the study. And it's like, "But we don't have a test." Or the like, "Nah, man, I'm good." Versus, "Nah, man, I'm good." And now, can you give yourself permission to say, I don't know what you meant by that, right? Like, you don't have to mind read here. I don't have to figure out what Spencer's trying to communicate. But if my instinct tells me that he's trying to communicate something, it gives me permission to ask that. And maybe that's all he needed to be like, yeah, man, I'm having a tough day. Or like, I really needed this pod, or whatever it might be. Like, so, and it's fun because it's a social skill that lends itself really well for gamification. And a lot of the social skills programming I do as a speaker and a trainer is gamified social emotional learning. So you'll have people reach into a basket and pull out a word, simple word, hello, goodbye, how are you? And then an emotion. So it's like, can you say, goodbye like you're really sad? Well, that's pretty straightforward, right? Can you say goodbye like you're angry? And then they get more obscure as deeper you get into, can you say goodbye like you just came into an inheritance of $73 million, but you have to spend the night in a haunted house? Like,
Oh, fuck.
can you and just watching your face move through that Spence, it was like the whole emotional journey. That was a 3-part play, right? But it gives us the opportunity to practice that shit, to touch it.
Correct.
In a way that like you're going to learn it in a safer environment than like on a first date or like at a fraternity formal. Like you want to learn it where it's safe.
Yep.
So you're laying down those neural tracks for when you actually need it.
That's what allows me, that algorithm that you're explaining, that's what allows me to deeper the connection and bond with clients, is because I can see the nuances and inflection in voices where other people can't. Even neurotypicals, they can't do it, where my autism is coded to pick up on it. And a lot of folks, they're oblivious. They'll never see it with their autism, but mine, it's like hypersensitive and it's almost robotic. And I can see this very small gestures in the face, the eyebrows, right? Everything is being analyzed. And sometimes I'm even analyzing even more when I'm looking away, because I know that's maybe when you're unmasking. And so I'm being very attentive to see what the other bodies are doing in the room. And it's a gift. And I try to explain this to other therapists and other interns, right? And it's just hard because they don't have those skills yet. And maybe they can develop it, maybe they can't. Because I have that hypersensitivity and that extreme mirroring neurons where I have a shit ton more than other folks. So it's easier to pick up on these things. And in saying that, I get lost in a lot of jokes all the time. Because if I don't think that you're in the jokey mood, or if I don't code you as being a jokester and like you're a person I take serious, then you can say something to me. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's fucked up. She's like, nah, I'm completely joking. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, the other lady the other day, I'm like, you pregnant? She's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I thought you knew that. How the fuck would I know if you're pregnant? She's like, look at me. I'm like, I'm not answering that.
Yeah,
That's a trick.
right.
That's a trick.
That's bait. That's bait.
Because I thought she was talking about her other kid. I didn't realize she was currently having a kid. And she's like, nah. So I was like, autistic moment. I'm just going to go back to my room in my shame. All right. Thank you for. Go ahead.
Yeah, like my wife is like a very dry, deadpan sense of humor. And like, I mean, we've got 2 kids. We have like serious jobs. Like, so sometimes she'll say something, I'll be like, sarcasm? Like, because like I'm just skipping that stone, right?
Yeah.
And she'd be like, yeah, yes, babe. I'm like, okay, good. Like, because honestly, at this point in my life, like 15 years ago, man, I would have tried to mask my way through that. Be like, I am laughing, joking, sad for you, happy, interested, excited. I landed the plane. Now I'm like, sarcasm? I don't fucking know. Like, because I
Fuck
would
you,
rather,
Rebecca.
right? Not Rebecca. So I almost said it earlier, and I was like, I caught myself at the last minute. Not that it matters. I don't know why I care about this, but yeah,
it's fine. I was trying to manipulate you there. It's all good.
That's what he does, jackass.
Say it. Yeah, I went into
not
therapy.
the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, I went into therapy just to be Hannibal minus the eating.
Jesus. Isn't that like the whole thing?
Yeah, I just like, manipulating people,
Yeah, Good, chose somebody else. That's fine. I chose the cannibal.
This guy's a Unabomber now.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting away from that.
Shut up.
I'm just having fun unmasking today. So
I know you are. I know you are.
Well, the
Jesus.
last pod just fucked me up, man. That was pretty tough.
So many references that aren't good.
Yeah, I know. So this last scene.
Yes.
This is super quick, right? But I
Yes.
mean,
Short one, yeah.
I got a question for you. Do you struggle with compliments?
Oh God, yes. Right. And it's the most ambivalent relationship because, you know, I need them, right? It like we have the hangout house, like we've got a pool, we've got a deck, like, and I don't mind feeding people. In fact, feeding people is kind of my love language,
Okay.
right? Like I'm gonna make some drinks, I'm gonna grill some chicken, put on some music. And the joke here is I will ask you for desserts because I'm no baker, and like bring something to drink that you want to drink, right? But the only thing I ask of people is we in my kitchen compliments are currency, right? So I don't need you to bring chips. I don't need you to bring fresh cut fruit. I got that stuff. But tell me you like my food. Just tell me you like my food. And the compliments are currency. That's what buys you a seat at the table at my house. And
I'm terrible with compliments, bro. You would struggle
You
with
really
me as a
are.
friend.
You're the worst.
I will.
I get him immaculate gifts. He is the worst, like, compensator of any type of thank you or like
Food.
He says thank you. He's like, thanks, bro, thanks. But like when you don't get like the man, this is great. Oh wow, I'm really gonna cherish this. He's just like, thanks.
Or
he looks at you and goes, I got you cookie. I got you cookie.
Yes, Francis,
he is Nick Miller. No, you're Nick Miller, not me.
Yeah. Or like he'll cook or other people will cook. And like the way I show my affirmations, I'm around you.
Yeah.
I'm around you. I'm sitting right next to you while you're cooking or doing your thing. If I'm not talking, your food was fucking slapping. That shit was fire. That shit was crack. If I'm talking and like mushing the food around, that's so man, if I ever go to your house and you just see me just fucking shoveling food in and getting seconds and thirds, that shit was fire.
Yeah.
My brother won't give you a compliment at all. He'd be like, it was okay.
He actually told me he got sick from my food, which I know was a lie. He did. He fucking said that. He was like, I think I got sick from the shrimp.
That's right. Because, he thought he got like heartburn. Well, whatever.
I was like, you son of a bitch. It was good. It was good.
So your thing is definitely compliments. Is it only for the cooking or is it for other things as well? Words of affirmation.
I mean, I am a very simple person. Like you tell me I did good and I will do my damnedest to believe it. Because then the ball's in my court, right? Then I got to just work on believing it.
Okay.
Right. But it's, I mean, one of the things that I have gotten more comfortable with through the, a lot of self-exploration, a lot of therapy is like being willing to ask for that stuff.
Yep.
Because what I did develop that coping strategy. I think a lot of neurodivergent people do. We're doing the self-effacing thing. So you're hoping someone disagrees with you, like, oh man, I suck. And at some level, you'll be like, yo, dude, you're really awesome.
Yeah.
And that's why you're making the joke so someone sees it and flips it.
Yeah.
But the human brain is lazy, right? So the brain takes the easy way out. It's like, oh man, Matt says he sucks. I guess he sucks. Adds that to 5, right?
Adds that to 5.
And like I missed out on dating a girl who was wildly out of my league. That I used to say shit like, oh man, you'd never date me. I'm not good enough. And she's like, you said it enough. I started to believe you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the confidence.
Yeah, it's like, she's like, I'm going to go back to 16-year-old me and kick him in the nards. Right. But like, that's the thing. To accept the compliment, you have to fundamentally believe you are worthy of that compliment. Right. And like, even though Jess is the person in the clip, I mean, Nick Miller is somebody who is just, his bucket of confidence is just got so many holes in it.
Yeah, his dad fucked him up.
Right. And you have to believe you're good enough to have someone affirm that. And this is part of the reason why neurodivergent people are so easily set to imposter syndrome, right? Because we see all the shortcuts and fuck ups we did internally, and other people just see the opera we wrote or the book or the podcast or the delicious dinner, and you don't see that you almost burned the steak because you forgot it was on the goddamn grill, right? And you see that stuff. So people compliment you and you shove it away because you don't believe it. But then the thing that fills that space is I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. I suck. The mean voice in my head must be right because I don't have a counter narrative to it anymore because I can't believe the good things people are saying about me.
Facts. Facts, facts, facts. It's a some bitch living in our heads, isn't it?
I'll tell you, man, I've kicked that motherfucker out. I mean, I keep trying to keep trying to raise his rent. I don't know. He must have a trust fund or some shit.
That's one of them white men they tell you about. That's one of the 1%ers.
Yeah. He just won't go.
Gentrifying up here, guys. He's gentrifying.
Gentrifying motherfucker.
You're gentrifying yourself.
Gonna put in a craft brewery and a coffee shop next.
Son of a bitch.
The Tesla's up in there.
This motherfucker ain't drinking Starbucks?
You used to steal coffee like the rest of us. Like,
yeah.
No, I
she
mean,
said that one clip, I made crayons with your coffee maker, I would have died.
Yeah.
That would have been one dead white woman.
What happened to Jess? I don't know.
I don't condone any violence or any harm against any gender or any women on this podcast, right? You know.
But
don't use my coffee maker. Don't you ever touch a black man's radio.
Oh, Jackie. Oh,
yeah.
Jackie.
Chris Tucker from Rush Hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jackie Chan in Rush Hour 2, don't ever touch a Chinese man CD. You owe me a copy of the Beach Boys' greatest hits.
Yep. I
know that movie back in my hands.
I know. It's tough, man. And so I take that. Bleh.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I've definitely pivoted. I jokingly will say bleh. And then I'll tell people, thank you. I appreciate you. I see you. Now when people say certain things, I jokingly say, I know. Like, Naj, you're magnificent as a therapist. Loved having you. This podcast is awesome. I'm like, I know. And they laugh because it's funny, but it's like, my auntie told me, she's like, you need to start accepting this shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, you need to change a couple different words you use too. Instead of when people say thank you and you say no problem, that almost infers like maybe they could be a problem. You should say my pleasure, my honor, much love, much respect. And so I started changing my nomenclature almost immediately because words do mean something. I don't want them to think that they were a problem. So I just said, fuck it, dumbass. Just start accepting these goddamn compliments. And so now I've spent my career trying to get kids to love themselves. It's a hustle. It's a con. I'm trying to get you to stop believing that asshole that's living rent free in your head and get you to maybe believe some of the shit I'm saying and some of your friends are saying. And maybe that's the truth. So I love the way you talked about it. I love the way Jess goes, bleh. I had a client that would always do it. Magnificent kid. OCD PD as shit. Yeah. Great athlete. Anxious as hell. Horrible relationships. Bad therapist experiences. Sat with me. Had a blast. Worked on a lot of tough shit. The kid graduated. Didn't unalive themselves, which was like a big goal. I went to their senior presentation. It was magnificent. And anytime we would work on like affirming or loving them, they'd just be like, blah, blah. And she would stick her tongue out and I would die laughing. I would die. I can still see her sitting in the recliner chair that we had in there and just being a little asshole sometimes when I'd be like, man, you're doing so good. She's like, shut the fuck up. Why so aggressive?
Yeah. But like, isn't that how you know you've connected with a kid, that they can tell you shut the fuck up, right?
Yep.
You know, like, you know, I mean, I see a lot of LGBTQ kids,
yep.
and like I use my privilege in a sense that, right, as a cishet white male, I always say no one's more privileged than me,
yep.
right? And I'm like, as your token straight friend, they're like, don't with that shit. I was like, what, am I not allowed to have opinions on Gaga? Am I cannot speak about Lady Gaga?
Facts.
And they're like, you are stop doing that straight guy thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to listen to some Brooks and Dunn with me? Like, right? But it's the thing, it's like that's what it's all about. It's the humor that we're all trying to find the way to navigate this shit that doesn't leave us sobbing in the corner.
Facts.
Right? And like, you know, I mean, I think you actually can get a lot further with a kid with like gently teasing them and pointing that shit out. Be like, yo, man, why are you making this so hard? You're trying to let me buy a boat? That's become my new joke. It's like when kids are like fighting me in
Oh,
therapy, I'm
got
like,
it.
listen, seeing you, I'm more stubborn than you, so you can buy me a boat.
Yep.
You can buy me a goddamn boat.
Yep.
They're like, no, I won't buy you a boat. I was like, then do your fucking therapy exercises.
Yep.
They're like, fine, right? Because it is easy to care about people when they're doing what you want them to do.
Mhm.
It is hard as fuck to care about somebody when they are fighting you tooth and nail.
True.
But the people who fight the hardest need it the most. And that's where I think our mission, right, as people who show up in these spaces, is to literally be like, I'm more stubborn than you, right? My go-to therapy session, and I end a lot of my talks with this, is I'm gonna believe the good stuff about you until you can too.
Oh, I
And
know that makes people cry.
all the time,
Yep.
right? It's made me cry a couple of times, right? Because you get those kids who want to unalive themselves. You get those kids who are like, life isn't worth living.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I see so much good in you, right? And I'm gonna hold that. I'm only gonna hold that right here. You know, like how Flava Flav is back in the news. It's gonna be like that giant clock, Flava Flav in the aughts, man. And that's gonna be my thing. I'm gonna hold that right here for you because there's gonna come a time where I can hand that to you and you won't throw it on the ground.
Yep.
And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, right? Those moments, because, you know, by the end of the series, Jessica Day can accept a compliment, right? By the end of the series, Winston does figure out what he's meant to do and he learns how to get better at something, right? Nick finishes the book. Schmidt and Cece start a family. Like where we are right now is a series of strengths and weaknesses, and none of that shit's a death sentence. It's just life.
Where you are right now doesn't necessarily determine where you're going to be.
Right.
Right. The starting point is just a starting point. There's a lot of time and choices that can lead to that finished product, what you want, that goal. A lot of students forget about that. Life is pretty long. As long as you're lucky and, you live okay, right? Health is good. Your country's good. But yeah, to quit now sucks. There's so much growth that can happen in just a few weeks. I like to do this one thing and I'm going to kick this fence and then we can get out of here. There's multiple different ways I end sessions, but what I like to do is mess with people on something because it fucks them up when you throw numbers at them. And you say, I've met you 5 times. 5 times over the course of a month and a half. That's 5 hours. That's less than a half a day's work. And we done changed your whole fucking life. Imagine if you actually really focus on this shit and dedicate some real time to it over the next few weeks, few months, few years, where you're going to be, who you're going to be, who you're going to be with. 5 hours. That's all it took. 5 hours to change your life. Think about that. And they're like, fuck. I'm like, think about it. And that didn't have nothing to do with me. All I did was ask a few questions, make you laugh.
Yep.
That's it. I love the end when I'm terminating with clients is, kid, you were easy to love. And I took that from a video with like Mike Tyson. You were just so easy to love, and I'm sorry others didn't see it. Yeah. And the other one is you need to be more kinder and patient. Stole that from a movie too. You need to be kinder and patient to yourself. And then I do that long pause and I change the inflection and then everyone breaks down. I break down. It's a whole fucking shit show. But it's a good encapsulation of how much they meant to me and how much they should mean to themselves. Now go forward, conquer the world. Yeah. Spence, boss man, you got anything else? Any other questions? Any other seasonings?
No, should be good. I will say, Matt, you did mention Flavor Flav, and I just want to point out he is sponsoring the women's water polo team for the Olympics, and which is huge, especially coming from a guy who has that much influence, in hip hop, things like that. I'm glad in his older age he's actually doing some other shit and bringing light to a sport that not a lot of people really watch at all. Yeah. So, got to give a shout out to Flavor Flav,
Well, I mean, and that's that's just the coolest thing. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you told that sentence to me 6 months ago, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, Spence.
Sure. Right? The guy with the clocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Women's water polo. Yeah. Sure. Cool. I mean, but isn't it amazing that the things that can bring us joy, because life gives us combinations of stuff you never would have seen.
Yep.
And as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you can see that picture on Instagram of Flava Flav and the women's water polo team, just like you can see Snoop geeking out about the swim final the other day. And it's just like, Snoop is in Paris. He carried the torch. He's geeking out about gymnastics. I mean, like, as much as we may have stumbled into the darkest possible timeline in the last 8 years, I'm telling you, like, for the first time in a long time, I feel some hope. And you wouldn't think like Snoop and Flav would be the things that do it, but goddamn if they're not helping, right? Like
Yep.
they're just nudging me a little bit closer to that Hope Town, and it's been a long time since I visited.
Well, I want you to visit this real quick and put some real. I love what they're doing. That's not as much as what Luol Deng has done with the Sudan, South Sudan team, and using his own payroll and money that he got from his own NBA career. He almost died in fucking Chicago. They ran him into the dirt, and he was in the hospital on his deathbed because he got that goddamn sepsis and he almost died. And then he went to the Lakers. They gave him a big contract, right? And then they ended up getting bought out. Whatever. He ended up using his own money to build this national team that wasn't even a country 13 years ago. Now they're in the Olympics. And then they just won a fucking game against a really good Puerto Rico team.
Yeah. And they almost beat the U.S.
And almost beat the U.S. in the prelims. And so shout out to Luol Deng, one of my favorite players, hard worker, doesn't say shit, magnificent human being. And he almost died a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Life, you have no idea what life has in store for you people. When you listen to this podcast, he was about to die. He was in the hospital for a long time. And then now he's like this magnificent individual. He always was magnificent. But now he's this coach. And shout out to him and other people that are using the money for good reasons to help people. Earlier, we made some fun about Canelo Alvarez and the $48 million that he took out of his pocket to build houses from the homeless in Mexico. Right? And here in the U.S. now we're imprisoning all of them, right? That's what we're doing now. Canelo took his own money to do this. So shout out to a lot of these men doing what we should have been doing a long time ago, is helping our own people. So specifically black and brown men, I wanted to point out. So thanks, Spencer and Flavor Fave, and thanks for bringing that up, because I really wanted to shout out Luol Deng for that. I love that kid. Since I was in fucking high school, I loved watching him play.
Yeah, I mean, when he was on the Bulls, man,
he was a god.
He was so good, so good.
So, and he never came off the court. Never came off.
No, no. Tom Thibodeau.
It was the Tibbs era where him and Joakim Noah, they just basically ground them to dust.
They did.
Don't even get me started.
I mean, he pretty much killed their careers.
Yeah. Same with what he's doing in New York.
Derrick
I just gave him an
Rose.
extension. Not going to go over that.
Happy moments. Happy moments.
Yes. Dr. Matt, please give us some plugs before you leave the show on what you're doing, what you want to plug for anything, socials, all that.
Yeah, I mean, so, we've got a pretty strong community on Facebook, facebook.com/Dr. Matt Zakreski. Nerd humor, parenting advice, psychology jokes. It's a little bit of everything. We've got the books coming out this fall, the Neurodiversity Playbook. I am super jazzed about it. We're doing sort of a book tour. So, what the publisher told me is she's like, if you can find a school that wants to have you come and do a talk, we will ship the books to the school and you can talk, and then you will sign the books and they will buy the books and everybody wins and we can go get beers afterwards. So let's just find a school, right? If what I've been talking about makes sense to you as a person, please reach out to the neurodiversitycollective.com and we'll do what we can to help you with therapy. And if your organization is like, this guy, we need to give him a microphone and let him talk to all of us, that's drmattzakreski.com. I'm pathologically online. See, I'm easy to find, a very unique name, but it's, I'm blessed. I love what I do.
Yeah.
Right. And, and when I get to do it with guys like you who are just living this mission, right? I mean, it's just amplifies everybody's good work. And, I think the best podcasts are that, right? It's just like, we all leave inspired. We all fill with our cups full. Cause it's like, hot damn, the work's not going anywhere, but we are stronger for it. Right. And that's the thing. So if that message resonates, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will go where I am needed. And that's the best part about being me.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Dr. Zakreski, for coming on. Definitely would love to have you back again. Love the energy. Love the personality. Yeah, I think we can both agree on we would love to have you back at some point.
We're gonna put you on something. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna pick the timestamps because we ain't playing that shit no more. And
no, that's good. I'll put my assistant on it next time because I have one.
Yeah. Girl, just pick a random movie, girl.
Honestly, you could just like spin the wheel on Netflix and be like, oh, hey, it's this thing. Like, like doing like Nimona, right? With my kids watching the other day. I was like,
that was magnificent. We did that.
Neurodivergent AF, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
that was a good trans allegory too. But I want to put some respect on it. Yeah, much love, because I know you're affirmation guy, so I'm gonna hit you with it. Love the energy, love the neurodivergence, love the little bit of tism that you got going on there too. Love the ability to joke with us, to be human with us, to be real with us, and also just flip it on a switch and start educating people as well.
Yep.
You hit on a lot of topics I haven't touched on, a lot of different words and theories I haven't touched on. You spoke to the gifted community. You did everything that I didn't know that we needed. You don't know what you don't know. And then you did that today for us. Plus, there was some humor that I needed on a day where I cried pretty fucking hard. So thank you for that. You're right. Blessings for that. So much love and respect, homie.
Yep.
I'm gonna start crying if I say anything else. So
okay. All right. And with that,
look at the time. Right?
I'm Spencer. That's Nas. Different Spectrums Podcast.
All right, everyone. Much love.
Peace.
And remember, take care of yourselves.
Or don't.
It's completely up to you. Peace.